Welcome back to the channel today. This is Tech and Gaming Reviews. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about why I personally think that OLEDs are definitely the best type of TVs for gaming and why OLEDs are definitely going to blow gamers, hardcore gamers out there, and to an extent some casual gamers, basically out of the water. Now, I made a video about a couple days ago talking about how if you want the overall best TV, you're going to want to get basically a Samsung QD OLED because it's going to look more vivid, more punchy like, and you're just not going to find no TV better than that. However, even if you decide that, hey, I've been hearing about LG's OLEDs and you say like you want something like the C4 or even the, top of the line G4 from LG. Well, all I can say is no matter which OLED that you get, even with a Sony, you're definitely still going to be very, very impressed because honestly, like OLED is just the way to go for gaming. And I've seen other YouTube content creators mention how good that, OLED is and just in general, even if you go for an LG OLED. Now, the LG OLEDs are using a old panel called WOLED. This is a panel that basically has pretty much been around since like the beginning of OLED altogether. Like this is a panel type that LG produces mostly in their TVs that Sony ends up buying, and even to an extent Samsung as well on some of their models, like with the S85D and even the S90D on certain sizes. And even like I stated, even if you get an LG WOLED panel, you're still going to get a very, very nice, clean, crisp picture no matter what the odds are. And you're still going to get very good colors and especially contrast. Contrast, no matter what the odds are, it's just going to be top of the line even if you get a WOLED or a QD OLED. The only thing that changes is mostly brightness and colors. But LG OLEDs are definitely starting to get much more better, and now because of the G series with having MLA technology, honestly, they're getting very, very close in terms of like Samsung's QD OLEDs. Maybe not quite as good on top of the colors, but in terms of brightness, sometimes even coming out on top of what Samsung's QD OLEDs, or at least I should say Samsung's QD OLED budget, which is basically the S90 series, and sometimes even matching, if not beating, the S95D and S95C, even though those are touted to have 2000 nits of peak brightness. But with all that being said, OLED is just honestly the way to go when it comes to gaming because, like I stated, you're not going to get any better in terms of clarity. There's been even some cases that even with a regular, any OLED in general, even if it is a WOLED LG or a QD OLED Samsung, there has been some cases to where, like, the clarity is honestly so freaking good that it almost makes you wonder if you basically got an 8K type of television rather than a 4K. And that's personally how good that the OLEDs really do shine. And no matter what you get, even if it is an LG, you're still going to be very, very mind blown with how good that they honestly look. But I definitely would recommend getting a Samsung QD OLED because honestly, with the amount of brightness and the amount of color detail that you do get, and I even think that even to an extent, the clarity is just a tad bit better on a QD OLED. But even with a WOLED, you're still going to be very, very impressed, and LG definitely has a lot of its consumers basically covered when it comes to an OLED getting the G series having basically MLA technology, and to an extent, even the C4 is definitely the brightest C series OLED that LG has ever produced. And we also got the B4, which is basically almost identical to the C4. So even with a B4, you are definitely going to be still very, very impressed and satisfied even with a LG B4, which is a TV that we have coming in just a couple of months. So yeah, OLED, honestly, after us, experienced the different TVs like mini LED, full array, and OLEDs, honestly, OLED is definitely the way to go. Like everybody is saying, like, honestly, you cannot beat OLED for basically the clarity that you get, the nice contrast that you get, and the awesome gaming performance and just the overall color. Nothing will ever beat OLED in terms of TV picture quality than that. Like OLED is just honestly the way to go. And personally, I honestly don't think that TVs are going to get no better than what Samsung has offered with QD OLED panels. And to an extent, Samsung definitely is the brand that definitely makes the QD OLED panels, but LG has been the one that makes the variety of the OLED panels, especially when it comes to WOLED. They are the ones that make those panels. So no matter where you go, now if it was me, I would absolutely pick something like a Samsung S90D or the S95D over something like the LG G4, but that's just my personal preference. And LG has been doing very, very good in terms of OLEDs, with now the G series having MLA technology that's supposed to help boost brightness and even to an extent some color brightness, even though it's not going to be quite as good as a QD OLED panel. And then you got the C series being, brighter than ever before, even though it's not quite as bright as the G4. So in reality, no matter which OLED you get, you are still going to be very, very impressed, no matter which one you get. Like even if you get the budget S85D Samsung, which is not a QD OLED, it is a WOLED, and the same thing can go for pretty much the LG B4. So no matter what, even if you go for a budget OLED or a premium OLED like the Samsung S95D or the LG G4, you are still going to be very, very impressed with either of the two. But in my personal preference, I personally think that you will be better off to get a QD OLED Samsung because nothing's going to be the color and the brightness that you do get with those. But however, like I stated, the LG OLEDs are definitely getting better now with the G series having MLA technology and the C series, like the C4, basically being brighter than any other previous LG C series OLED ever before. So no matter what you get, OLED is just honestly the way to go when it comes to gaming, and honestly you can't get better than that. And especially with QD OLED, I just think QD OLED Samsung, I just personally think that you cannot get no better than that. Like honestly, that's just top notch. I mean, colors, clarity, brightness, honestly, QD OLED is just honestly the way to go. But even LG's WOLEDs, they're also still really good as well. They just won't look as good in colors and brightness, but they're getting better than they've ever had. And like I said, the LG C series, like with the C4, is definitely the brightest LG C series OLED that a C series has ever had. So yeah, if you're definitely in the market for a new TV and you are a casual to a hardcore gamer, and you even to an extent like watching movies and TV shows, and the money is no object for you, you definitely would want to find an OLED. Now, if you're on a somewhat of a budget, but not a super, super tight budget, then this is where I would recommend the LG B4. As for right now on the Best Buy website, the LG B4 for the 65-inch size is currently going for $1,200, and the 55-inch is currently going for $800, which for a 55-inch OLED, that price right there is honestly a pretty good steal right there for a OLED TV. Getting a 55-inch OLED for honestly $800, honestly, you cannot beat that. and I don't expect the prices to go back up very much, maybe like $100 or $200 more. But the new series of TVs for 2025 will be getting announced in January, which is basically next month at CES, and the current models are going to see price drops in the next coming up months when we get closer to the new 2025 TVs getting released, and even to the last bit of stock, they're going to even drop even more. So yeah, for $1,200 for a 65-inch LG B4 or a 55-inch LG B4 for $800, yeah, if you're on a budget but not a super tight budget, honestly, that's honestly what I would recommend, is getting the LG B4. But also, the Samsung S90D 65-inch size is also at a very good low price that a QD OLED has ever been at, especially for the size 65-inch size TV. And that TV right now on sale at Best Buy is $1,400, and that's honestly the lowest that a QD OLED has ever been. So honestly, yeah, you just definitely cannot go better than what an OLED has to offer. And I personally have 4 OLEDs currently at the moment. I have an LG C1, LG C3, and Samsung S95B and Samsung S90C. And we're getting 2 more OLEDs of both LG and Samsung. So honestly, OLED is just the way to go. So honestly, yeah, you will never regret getting an OLED TV, because you're just going to get the best clarity, best colors, and just the overall, when it comes to gaming, you're just going to get the best performance and the best gaming just in general. And also, I forgot to mention, you're also going to get the best lowest input latency as well when it comes to gaming. So right there at the end of itself, those are definitely the TVs for hardcore gamers. But with that being said, I figured I would talk to you guys and make a video discussing about how our experience with OLED has been, and why that honestly OLED is definitely the way to go. And even if you get an older LG OLED, or I should say an older LG OLED WOLED panel, you are still going to be very impressed no matter what the odds are. So yeah, honestly, LG and Samsung are definitely killing it with having the best type of TVs out there. And for gaming, OLED is just honestly 100% the way to go. So that's going to pretty much wrap it up for this video. So hope you enjoyed this video. If you guys could hit that like button. Also subscribe if you are new to this channel, and we'll keep you posted with more content like this going forward. And let us know in the comment section down below if you have ever bought an OLED, or if you have an OLED and what model do you have, if it's a QD OLED or an LG OLED, and how satisfied are you, and if OLED has been the best choice that you have ever made and such. So just let us know if this helped you decide on getting an OLED, and if you have gotten OLED, and how satisfied are you with your OLED. But that's going to pretty much wrap it up for Tech and Gaming Review. So rate, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you guys later on the next video.